Hello everyone. So wait a few seconds for people to join. I feel like I should do a little
hold music. Da, 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 da. People are joining now.
Cool. Hello, good morning, good morning, good morning. Give it a second for people to join. Good morning. How is everyone? Now, as per usual, Adam is the cameraman. He can see comments and questions that you guys type. So when you do have a comment or a question, send it off and then Adam will read out as many as he can. So, welcome to the June Yorkshire Yarn Fest. I managed to dry my hair in time, win. So, I have loads of things to talk to you about today. But chief among them and the first among them is my new top. Da, 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 da. This is the Misty Woodland Sweater by Suvi Knits. If you scroll through my grid later, you can find, I've tagged the design and the pattern, but I did want to talk about this because it's finished and it's beautiful. And I made this in my baby alpaca silk and cashmere full ply. Now, because I posted about this a few weeks ago, this colourway has sold out. This was Clara. But I have put together a few colourways that I will talk about that are in stock that you could make this in. And one thing I want to start off with is I used 3 skeins for this. And with this one, I did not alternate skeins. So you can probably see this best on the back. I just used 3 skeins as they came and you can't tell. So I can't promise you that that will go that well with all skeins because hand-dyed yarn is hand-dyed yarn, but I do try very hard when yarns have 3 short colour changes that you should be able to just use them one after the other without having to faff about and alternate. This does depend on the pattern, your stitch gauge, needle size, the usual disclaimers apply. However, this is what I did with just 3 skeins. Ta-da! Yes.
Can you do that one in the long sleeve?
Yeah, she has a long sleeve option in the pattern. I just went for the short sleeve option, but totally you can do it with long sleeves. You'll need a bit more yarn obviously, but yeah, you can do it with long sleeves.
Will the colour be back in stock?
No, that was a limited edition, so no, but I can show you. So one thing that I wanted to show you, and I'm hoping this isn't going to collapse midway through my chatting. So this one is Walled Gardens, which I have on sock, DK and my baby alpaca. And for this one, I have actually knitted and crocheted a swatch for you guys. So when you compare how that knits up to how this is knitted up, you can see it's a really nice overall effect as well. And I think this would look lovely for the Misty Woodland Sweater, short or long sleeves. So that is Walled Gardens, which personally I think for a summery spring top or sweater, I think this would look really, really lovely. And there are pictures of the swatches on the website with this yarn listing. So if you want to go back to that and have a look, you can. And then if you wanted something a little bit more muted or less colourful, then we've got Rebels for the Reeve. And this is sabotaging me now. Hang on. This is Rebels for the Reeve, which just has some really nice speckles. It's a grey with some nice bright speckles, but not too much. That would look super for this as well. This will look really nice with the lace pattern as well. And then we'll move on to some pinks and blues and purples. We've got Meet Me in My Dreams, which is a lovely purple, different purples, some speckles. And then we've got something a bit brighter. It's really similar to that one, but it's brighter pinks, brighter purples, and it's got some light blues in as well. And some turquoise speckles. This will also look great. And then if you wanted something pink, and who doesn't, at least if I speak for myself, this is Romancing the Reef. And this, for this Misty Woodlands top, will look gorgeous. This looks super. And then we've got Old Friends, which again is blues and purples, but with some crazier speckles, which I always do like on lace. I think it really works with the lace and doesn't detract from it. And then we've still got a few skeins of Spring from Under the Snow left, which is the yarn I dyed using snow. And this will also look lovely. It's very floral, very botanical for this top. And then moving on, if you fancy being a bit fancier and a bit up there, you could do this use Party on the Reef, which is just the cream yarn with loads and loads of speckles, which again, for something like the Misty Woodlands top, will look awesome. And then if you wanted to be a bit less out there, we have Hope, which has some lovely speckles and sort of all sorts of different colours, yellows and peaches and purples and some light green and speckles. And then this one, which I still is one of my favourites I've ever done, hummingbirds and hummingbees. For this top will look, honestly, it'll look amazing. So this is light blues and some tiny bit of burnt orange in there. And then we've got this, which was a Christmas yarn, but I don't think looks that Christmassy, Mistletoe and Holly, which is some really nice greens and greys and reds. That will look great. So I'm basically showing you all of the yarns that have short colour changes and speckles, because for a top like this, that should work super. And then we've got Gateway to the Dales. And then we've got the new one, which has been popular this morning. So if you want some of this, you might need to hurry. This is my June Yorkshire Yarn Fest themed yarn, which is Midsummer. And this one I'll open as well. There we go. This is so lovely. And this has got short colour changes, short-ish colour changes as well. These colour changes aren't as short as, say, the Ward Gardens, for example, but they aren't long. So that would look fabulous as well. But I also think the Midsummer yarn would be lovely for a shawl as well. Now, the guide I usually give when customers ask me, how is this yarn going to look like when I knit it up? The way to look at it is, essentially, and I'll use this to show you, when each colour change from one colour to the next, how many stitches is that going to give me, whether I crochet that or I knit that, right? So again, depends on stitch pattern, depends on your gauge or needle size, but a really good rule of thumb is to think about how many stitches am I going to get from one colour before the next colour comes, and that'll give you a really good idea of how it's going to look. So for the Clara, for example, you can see this is super mottle, super short colour changes, so you get like 4 or 5 stitches, maybe 6 or 7, depending on where you are on the yarn maximum. So that should give you a good idea. I'll just leave that there again. I am in love with this Midsummer yarn. And for the Midsummer yarn as well, so that's the baby alpaca, but I have dyed this for you on my sock yarn as well, which you can also use for sweaters. I use sock yarn a lot for garments, for tops, for sweaters, for cardigans. Sock yarn is great, especially when you want it to not have so much drape and keep the shape quite well. So there we have Midsummer in sock as well. There we are. So that is the Misty Woodland sweater and the yarn that I curated for you guys, and that fancy word, curated, that I picked out for you guys if you want to make a top like this. There are so many different knitting patterns that have a lace panel and a fairly simple back. There's loads of, if you didn't want to make the Misty Woodland sweater, there are so many other patterns out there. But these are the yarns that I picked out that would work really well for a sweater like this. Are there any questions on this? No?
No.
Good. Okay, so now the next thing, we'll pan over here. Now, I didn't manage to get this finished for today because it is miles and miles of stocking stitch, but this is my work in progress Adira top. Again, if you scroll through my grid, I have posted and linked the designer and the pattern name. This is Adira by Truly Myrtle, and I'm doing this in my mulberry silk. This. And this colourway is It Spring Yet? I've got loads of this in stock as well because I dyed a second and a third batch because this has been really popular. And here you can see how it knits up, and it really does look like I planned it to look. So crocuses and daffodils and narcissus coming up through the young green grass. Sounds very poetic, but I did actually plan it that way, and I'm glad it worked out. So obviously I'm cheating at the moment because this still has raw edges and the neckline isn't done yet, but it will have a keyhole neckline. So what I've put together for you, I'll take this off, easier to show you. So if you don't fancy this one, then I have loads of other lovely silk colourways in stock. Now, if you wanted something really bright to wear with jeans, for example, or a plain skirt, then Clementine is really, really nice. We've also got Magic, Magic in the Reef. I've got a new grey one. This has no speckles, nothing else. This is just a gorgeous silver silk, which is called Silver Swords. So you could make something like this in just the plain silver, which I think is really, really lovely. And you can wear a bright shawl with it or a pattern skirt. And then we've got Lady Mary. We've got Don't Be Coy With Me. And then we've got Party on the Reef, which is the one I've got on the baby alpaca as well. And Party on the Reef for this top would look really, really nice as well. And currently, as I'm speaking, there should be enough of these in stock for a top like this. I'm probably going to need about 3 skeins for this for my 12 to 14 size. Yeah, so these are all the silks. And as you can see, I don't know how well you can see this in this light. We have changed the lighting this time around, and I hope that works a bit better. But it has got a lovely sheen on it. They all do, all the silks do. So those are the silks. Any questions on that? No? Okay, I'm just looking at the time. We have 4 minutes left. That's perfect. So now, to my next whip. Now, some of you will think this looks a bit familiar. That's because it does. Because I love my cruiser cardigan so much. I wear it all the time. And I have very recently bought this really cute little vintage cloak clasp to fasten the collar, but it looks nice when it's open as well. Anyway, so I made this a while ago, and I absolutely live in this, and I love it. However, it doesn't go with everything, does it? Because even with this top, it kind of clashes. So that's how that looks in a speckled and a plain mohair. So I decided to knit this again because I wanted that cardigan because I love it, but in a plain. So I'm doing this in just the grey mohair and a grey alpaca. So this is what this looks like, and it is lovely because it is plain without being boring, I think, anyway. So I'm making this again. Clearly, obviously, haven't got that far with it in time for today. So I'll stand over here. Again, I've put together a little collection for you.
There's one question.
Yarns, yes.
Did you say the yarn on the mannequin was, is it spring yet?
Yes, it is. The silk top is the silk over there. I don't know if you want to pan back to that. That is it spring yet? Okay, so if you don't fancy making this in grey, but you wanted to make this in a fairly one colour look, then I've put all of these together for you. So if you wanted a pink, which I kind of feel I need to knit this a third time just so I can use these together. This is Unicorn Puff together with La Discotheque, which, I mean, just look. This will look so good as a cardigan, like the cruiser cardigan. But you could also take the lighter pink and use it with that. Then there's the November Mornings together with November Mist, which is nearly what I'm using. Then you could also use Bates together with Sizzle if you wanted some warmer colours, or you could use that with Friends and Lovers. Sizzle and Friends of Lovers would be a really nice warm colour. And then if we move down the rainbow, you've got Storm. You could use that with Mrs. Padmore, but you could also use that with Francesca. And then, I was a bit of a muppet, so you know how I posted about the sea glass baby alpaca yarn, and then I said I dyed that on my hair as well? Wouldn't it have been helpful if I'd actually given you that on the website? I didn't. I forgot to activate the mohair. So this is the sea glass kid mohair in silk, and you could use that with Paisley Bridge, which I think is just so nice. It'll just give it a shimmery, oceany, sea glassy effect if you use these together. The same goes for sea glass together with Koi Pond. And if you wanted to be really neutral, you could use Koi Pond Fluff together with Koi Pond. And then if you wanted something bright, you could use Treasure, which is variegated, together with Sherbet. which is also really stunning. So those are all your options. In the semi-solids that I have on the baby alpaca, together with coordinating mohairs, but I think my favourite combo is that. I think that's really, really lovely. That'll go so well together. So that's, so like I said, this is the cruiser cardigan. If you scroll back through my grid, you will find all the information on the pattern and the yarn I'm using. So those are all the yarns. Now I have about 30 seconds left. So if any of you have any questions, I'll just give you guys a second. No? You guys can also message me on Instagram, email me through the website. Sorry?
Website name?
Yeah, so website name is northshireyarns.co.uk. Bertha is hiding that. That's my website. But you can find me on Instagram, you can find me on Facebook, and you can message me through the various social media, and you can email me through the website. So I hope you've enjoyed that. Anything that wasn't clear, let me know. And the video will be posted on my Instagram and on my YouTube channel and on my Facebook. So if you need to watch it back, you totally can. And that's it, I think. Thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you next time.